People pay money to see me in a 20-by-20 ring.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the 20-by-20 crew. I'm your co-host, Joe, and I'm here with
Matt.
And we're here talking Wrestlemania weekend. There is a plethora of events going on all weekend for WrestleMania. WrestleMania isn't just about WrestleMania anymore. Can you imagine that?
Nor should it be.
Yeah, nor should it be. This spectacle, this huge event that happens once a year in April or late March, depending on whenever the hell they feel like booking it.
Pretty much, yeah.
has become known for a host, taking that host city wherever they're at and making it the proverbial playground for anything wrestling. This year, we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff, not just WWE stuff, but you've got podcasts happening with live appearances. You have multiple indies with shows going on, sometimes the same day. Obviously, you're limited to only a few days there in Louisiana, but there's a lot of stuff going on. We're here tonight watching Strong Style Evolved, New Japan Pro Wrestling, as it happens live, and as we're talking right now, you have the Bullet Club in Marty Scurll and Cody coming out with his wife Brandy Rhodes, looking absolutely gorgeous, all dolled up. Even Marty's got new duds on, looking snazzy. I don't know how I feel about Cody's new shirt. The
whole Cody gimmick right now is a little bit off for me personally.
Yeah, he's definitely his own. He's living in his own nightmare world.
Yeah, if you want to call it that. I'm digging Marty's jacket though. I'm not a big purple guy, but it I don't know.
It works.
We're fashion police here. It totally works. It fits him. I like Marty in that jacket.
I believe this might be a little bit of the redneck coming out in Cody.
It just, I know he's doing a movie of some sort, from my understanding, with that hair, but everything else, I'm trying to picture who he looks like to me, but...
He's becoming his father, slowly. I think that's what it is.
He only needs to gain, another 60 pounds, and he'll be right there.
Instead of the taped-up elbow, or the super padded elbow, he's always got the super padded palm and hand or fist.
Yeah.
He's got the bleach blonde hair. He's putting on a little bit of weight. He's eating good these days, So
the amount of money he's bringing in.
Well, of course. But that shirt, it's him with the fucking planet of Saturn and some kind of giant white wolf on it. I'm sure it's available over at Pro Wrestling Tees.
Is he doing a Flash Gordon thing? Because
I don't know. I'm really confused. But hey, I guess it's working for him.
Is that like a sequel 30 years later? I don't know about.
This particular match we're watching, if I'm not mistaken, is Bullet Club versus Bullet Club?
It is indeed the Bullet Club versus the Bullet Club. Cody and Marty Scurll versus the Guerrillas of Destiny, which features the one of only two remaining original Bullet Club members in Tama Tonga, and Baby Brother, who is much bigger than him, and Tangaloa. Before we talk about, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad, it's kind of like perfect timing, because we are going to talk WrestleMania, folks, and I promise we're going to get there. But seeing that this is a show where we talk about, where we converse about things in wrestling, I have to say, I don't know how you feel about this fully. I know we talked about it a little bit for the show. Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. Are you a fan of what they're doing with everything here? I know there's some confusion for me. You did inform me about maybe checking out some of the Being the Elite, which is their YouTube show. That I believe is weekly, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
But that being said, with currently no end game in sight, what do you make of Bullet Club versus Bullet Club, and what does that do to a faction that is really at the peak of its popularity? And I don't even want to say peak, because I think it can actually get even bigger if they allow themselves to. But here they are. Instead of taking on the role, which is kind of what Bullet Club was all about, now they're fighting amongst each other, and I'm not a fan of it. I'm curious to hear what your intake is, though.
It's gonna go one of two ways for me anyway, and obviously I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see the future, because let's face it, if that was the case, I might not be doing this podcast, or at least in these conditions. Yeah. Here's what I'll say about Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. I don't mind what's going on right now. Is it my favorite Bullet Club stuff? No. It is cool to see two very passionate wrestlers in Cody and Kenny Omega go head-to-head and face off, not just verbally, but also in the ring. It's been really fun watching these two kind of vie for who's leading the Bullet Club. The way they're going about doing it, though, is not my favorite. It doesn't necessarily work for me. I was explaining to Matt before we started recording. You have this situation where, again, it's probably going to come down to one of two options. Either you're going to have Bullet Club versus Bullet Club, and when someone else tries to get involved very substantially, that's what's going to reunite them, and they will become bigger, badder than ever. The other thing I see happening is, and this is what we talked about before we started recording, is the way they're going about the story, the angles that they're doing. You kind of have to be this... You have to pay attention to more than just whatever product they're involved with. And I say that because if you watch, probably the last 7 or 8 episodes of Being the Elite, which is the Young Bucks YouTube channel, or YouTube show on their YouTube channel. So episodes 90 plus. So 90 to 97, 90 to 98, whatever they're at right now. You get a lot of behind the scenes information that you normally wouldn't get, like that it would normally happen on a television program on some wrestling show. That's not the case with this. And so if you're not paying attention to that, you only get what you see here on the television, on televised events or pay-per-views, things of that nature. So for those of you who are a little bit confused about what's going on with the Bullet Club, I highly suggest you go check out Being the Elite on YouTube, and that should clear up some information for you. You'll get to see just exactly how much of a manipulator Cody has become, the wedge he is seemingly trying to drive between all of the members of the Bullet Club. So it's really interesting. I won't say much more than that. I really would like you to go check out the stuff. And plus we have a lot of things to cover tonight. So with that said, yeah, that's I'm leaning to one of those two options. Either someone's going to come in, make some substantial effort to kind of break them apart as they're already infighting, and it'll bring them all back together. Or you're going to have this continued... It seems like they're very inexperienced in booking these stories and these angles independently of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I think that's causing some of the confusion. And so when you have that, it's going to be a little confusing. It's not going to necessarily pan out in a sensical manner. So I'm still really interested as to where it's going. I do share the opinion of Matt here, where we aren't necessarily hell-bent on some of the guys in Bullet Club and their current gimmicks. I mean, like, we were just talking about Cody and all of that. He's an awesome performer, but I don't necessarily like what they're doing with him or what he's doing for himself. I think he's capable of much more. I think he can still accomplish the same. I still think he can accomplish the same thing, but better by making a few changes here and there.
Yeah, I agree. I love the Young Bucks. I love Cody. I love Adam Page. I love Marty Scurll. I hate the cheesy, over the top, sometimes corny comedic gimmicks that they're portraying right now. And maybe I'm going to sound old school, maybe I'm going to sound like a traditionalist here, but Bullet Club, the reason why I fell in love with the Bullet Club was because it was a us versus the world mentality. And I've always loved that mentality in any form of entertainment, of any kind of media. Maybe that's something that I took in my personal life and, lived through them from that. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just professional wrestling, but you can't say that you've never done that with anything in professional wrestling or other kind of media. Like it's kind of a thing that we do. We latch onto something because it's like I get that message. What they're doing now, I wouldn't be so against if it was a battle between Cody and Kenny of who should be the leader of the Bullet Club or this and that. When you start adding over-the-top cheesiness to it, I look at it, and this is going to sound like a really bad word here, but I look at it like a WWE product right now. Because that's what it's... That's the impression that I get. I just get these goofy little segments, and I just I'm not entertained. I'm not entertained by that. And everything that the Bullet Club represents now, it's almost like I don't think it's dead, but it certainly is dying. It's the equivalent of
the minor leagues.
It's the equivalent of the NWO when they started letting everybody in, and they started doing the separate factions and this and that. We kind of lost what was special about the NWO. It was very much the us versus them mentality. It was an invasion storyline. It was we're taking over the wrestling world, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And that's what the Bullet Club was built on. And when you have some of the best now acting like a bunch of high school kids, I have a hard time following because I don't care at this point. And I look at other promotions because we look at Bullet Club, and I know it's a big thing out here, but it is still a New Japan faction, whether you want to admit that or not. And I look at them, and they don't have shit on LIJ. They don't have shit on Suzuki-gun. I would even say that Parts of Chaos has a lot more buzz around them than Bullet Club because nobody knows what the hell they're doing. Just they did all this, and just up until maybe a month ago now, or even less, now the Tungans are getting involved, and it's just well, why weren't you involved to begin with? I know I asked that question in a previous episode, and we never got back to it because we didn't have an answer. And it's silly. I just hope that, and we'll go over this as we move on, because I know we got to move on here. I hope it ends, though, on April 7th with Supercard of Honor. Whatever they're doing, figure it out so we can have some kind of finite answer.
I'm also of the opinion of Japanese culture when it comes to anything Western culture. It's almost like a caricature of what the actual culture is, and that's what they like, that's what they adore. I remember hearing on another podcast, I think it was Killing the Town with Storm and Cyrus, they were talking about how it's cool. You speaking in English out there is cool. It's a cool thing to do. It's a hip thing to do.
Okay.
Not a big fucking deal to us. We don't, out here in the States, I don't want to offend anybody, but out here in the States, if you're talking Japanese to me, I'm not, I don't think it's necessarily cool.
Yeah.
It's not like a hipster thing to do.
Right.
Not to my knowledge. It's not the same. And I think what it is out in Japan, you do have stuff like that going on. So to me, what all these semi-hokey or very cartoonish stories and characters that are becoming the current product, I think they're just playing to whatever's popular in New Japan, which makes sense for their business.
Sure.
But as far as Matt and I go, it's not our favorite stuff. I mean, we've talked about how we don't necessarily dig the hokey stuff, especially the old WWE crappy gimmicks and things like that, especially during the mid-90s. That was horrible. But getting back on topic here, we are talking about WrestleMania weekend. You're looking at Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that's April 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. If you happen to be in Louisiana, there's plenty for you to do out there.
Yeah, if you're in Louisiana during that time and you're bored, you just go home, because there's way too much going on here that there's no way you can get it all done. But it's just your entire days are booked, and we're talking from sometimes 10 in the morning, 9 in the morning to 11 o'clock to the following morning if you wanted to stay out that late, if you don't want to catch any sleep. I love that we get to talk about this because, let's face facts here, obviously WWE, this goes without saying, is the most well-known wrestling company in the world. It's whether you like WWE or not, it is what it is. And it's so great that other companies take advantage of the fact that you have an insane amount of fans that are traveling all around the world to come see that product. And here they are saying, well, since you're out here, we got a show too that you'll probably like. Come check us out. Or, and it started off very small. I don't know when it started. I know Ring of Honor's been doing this for quite some time.
I don't know when it started either. I know for a reference point, I remember listening to Michael Elgin.
Oh,
I remember listening to Michael Elgin on another podcast, and he was talking, I want to say 2015. Whatever city WrestleMania was in that year, he did 10 shows over the course of a week, that culminated the WrestleMania weekend.
Right.
So it's I would say at least these last 3 years, but I'm sure longer than that. But probably not this big. Let's face it, the wrestling industry is going through another boom. Although this time it's not just between two companies. It's the WWE and independent wrestling as a whole. So you've got quite a few different companies and properties to go experience. And this actually starts on Thursday, April 5th. You're going to have a chance to go see Matt Riddle's Bloodsport. That's being put on by GCW, and it's at the Pontchartrain Convention Center. We keep in mind, all the shows that we are mentioning, we will have all the information on our website over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/WrestleMania. You can find all the information there. We'll have information and links to tickets, things for you to do. We are a partner of Groupon. We will have Groupons available for you, which we have 2 big ones coming up later to mention. We'll also have information on how you can watch WrestleMania if you're not able to make it to Louisiana.
Or any of the shows. Discuss.
So you'll have quite a few different options there. But we're going to start at 3 o'clock. Keep in mind, this is Central Standard Time for those of you who are wondering, which is also Chicago time. 3 o'clock on Thursday, you have Matt Riddle's Bloodsport. Again, that's being put on by GCW at the Pontchartrain Convention Center. You can get ticket information through us again at 20x20crew.com/podcast/WrestleMania.
This one is tap out or knockout only. And the reason why this is so relevant to Matt Riddle's Bloodsport is because Matt Riddle, if for all you MMA fans out here might recognize him, I don't know what season he was on, but he was a winner of The Ultimate Fighter and really had everything going for him in MMA. I don't recall him losing any fights as far as there at the venue. He did lose 2 fights, or at least he went to a no contest because of a failed drug test. Matt Riddle likes sweet leaf a little bit too much, and he failed 2 drug tests for marijuana. I know Dana White kind of just said, screw it, he's not worth it, we'll get rid of him. But he was a legit fighter, and so he decided, hey, well, I'll be a professional wrestler. And if you haven't seen Matt Riddle compete yet, oh my goodness, you have no idea. He's got a kind of a weird cheesy gimmick. We were just talking about cheesy gimmicks. He's the king of bros.
King of bros.
He comes in wearing flip-flop sandals, and he comes out to a what was that Warren G. Nate Dogg song?
Regulate.
Regulate. There you go. I'm not big on raps. I don't know. Yeah, it's just I first time I saw him, I was like, this guy, get him out of here. And then then the bell rang, and I was like, all right, I can get behind this dude. He is going one-on-one against Low-Key in this match. And Matt Riddle's a name that you're going to hear a few times on the show. Matt Riddle versus Low-Key. I don't know about you, but that's one hell of a way to start out a WrestleMania week.
You got that right. And I know I know Jim Cornette's not a fan of Low-Key. I don't mind Low-Key. I love his in-ring performances. Maybe he's not the smartest wrestler out there, according to Jim Cornette, but oh yeah, let's do it.
And then you got on the same card You have Chris Dickinson, who is kind of the same Ultimate Fighter, more of a wrestler, though, than Matt Riddle character or wrestler. And he's competing against, I don't know if you can believe this,
Dan the Beast Severn.
I didn't even realize he was still going.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. Severn keeps himself in really good shape. Obviously, one of the more famous shoot fighters from the past 15 years,
God, what is
20
he now?
years.
50 plus, 60 years old?
You know what? He sure as hell does not look like it. Not at all.
So are you saying I can't take him?
Nope. I'm sorry. I love you. You're my brother, but no, I can't take him either.
I tried.
And I got 9 toes, bro.
So yeah, I don't know too much about the show other than that, but I know it's knockout tap out, and just by that alone, that gimmick style show I can get behind, and I'm definitely going to be tuning in for that one, because that one definitely has a lot going on. There's a lot of other names on there, Timothy Thatcher, Walter, Eddie Kingston, some really legit talent on this card. So that's a hell of a way to start out a WrestleMania week.
Oh yeah. Then at 6 o'clock on Thursday, April 5th, you do have your first day of WWE Access, and that is at the Ernest N. Memorial Convention Center. That's where Access will be happening all weekend, for your information. That's at 6 o'clock on Thursday. They will have premium VIP signings for Bill Goldberg, and then VIP signings for Sasha Banks. Really not too much else to say about that little event there.
I just want to know that I want to know the name of that one person that's going to buy that premium VIP signing for Goldberg.
Are you kidding me? There's going to be tons of fucking people.
It's got to be his son's friend. I just hope his son's wearing a shirt this time, because I was really getting weirded out every time I saw him without a shirt. Yeah, there's really not much else to say.
If you've never been to a WWE Fan Access,
that's right, you've been there.
It is actually a pretty cool experience.
Okay.
You get to pose with different title belts. They have photo ops. They have VIP signings. There's different pieces of memorabilia that travel from WrestleMania to WrestleMania.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. You get some nice pictures in there.
Well, no, last year, too, they had some impromptu matches.
Yes, depending on the venue, they will have matches. I know when I was there for WrestleMania 25
in Houston.
Yep. They had a ring set up, and there was a few matches that happened throughout the weekend. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do in Fan Access, and if you think you're not going to have a good time, just go. I'm sure you're going to run into something that you'll enjoy, even if you're the casual fan.
So, because it's WWE and it's WrestleMania, and there's got to be a crap ton of people there, did you find yourself, at least, I'm sure you can't do everything, but did you find yourself being able to have enough time to do the things you want to do, or was it a lot of standing in line and waiting, and more so that more than you would have hoped to stand in line?
No, you know what? It wasn't a bad experience.
No?
And I've been to a couple different ones, because I've attended WrestleManias in Detroit and Chicago, obviously. And you go to these things, and you do expect to be in line, for fucking hours upon end. That wasn't the case in any of my experiences.
Okay.
I haven't been to a WrestleMania in quite some time, but yeah, I positive stuff all around for me. I highly recommend it. Again, even if you're the casual fan, Access is definitely one of the places to be and things to do during WrestleMania weekend.
Well, there you go. For anyone that's going, or for future WrestleManias,
yeah,
you got it from a guy here that's been there. And I've always wanted to go. I've never been to a WrestleMania, so I've never been to an Access either.
That's you know what? That's going to be on our bucket list together.
That's a bucket list, yeah. I definitely look. We talk bad about the product, but at WrestleMania, it's like going to the Super Bowl if you're a football fan. Even if you gotta go.
You gotta go.
You gotta go. So that's the only way around it. Next up here is a show that we don't know too much about, but I wanted to bring up some of the guys on here. It's Wildcat Entertainment.
Wildcat with a K.
Wildcat with a K.
It's happening at 6 o'clock as well, so even if you don't decide to go to Access, you could possibly catch this show. It's at the Sugar Mill, and again, neither of us are familiar with the Wildcat Entertainment Company, but some of the guys on this card obviously will be easily
recognizable.
Recognizable,
yeah.
yes.
And so you guys know, Wildcat Entertainment does have their own streaming service, and if for that information, and for whether or not this show would be on there, we'll go ahead and put that information on the site, 20x20crew.com/podcast/Wrestlemania. Again, for everything on here that we talk about, if there's a way to watch it, we will put it on there so you guys know when and where to be to watch it, how to watch it, and all that stuff. So, moving on to Wildcat Entertainment, the one name that popped out to me, I was like, holy crap, he still wrestles, is Bob Holly.
If you have not seen pictures of Bob Holly lately, take your time, get on Google or Bing, whatever you prefer, and search for Bob Holly 2018. Let me tell you, he is not anywhere as big as he used to be, but he is shredded to shit. Oh my god. That man is definitely in some awesome fucking shape. He's going to be on this card fighting Stevie Richards.
It's a four-way, actually. Stevie Richards, Billy Gunn, and some guy named Jay Spade, who I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not sure which Jay Spade they mean here.
but it looks like it's a fatal four-way of some kind.
Fatal four-way.
And yeah, Bob Holly was a guy that I just thought I'm glad that he's doing something. The last time I heard his name, he was in rehab for painkiller addiction. So to see him back in wrestling, I'm hoping he's clean. I'm hoping that he's doing what he loves. This is not that he's doing it because he wants to, not just because he needs a paycheck. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like I'm really intrigued by that. There's a lot of new names on here, which I'm not against trying to find out, but you got other well-known names on here, at least guys that I know. I know Damien 666 and Bestia. Sorry, I said that wrong. Bestia 666. I probably still said that wrong. Rachel Ellering, who is the daughter of
Precious Paul
Ellering. Don't forget the Precious. But there's a ton of like names that I'm not too familiar with. But if I find myself with some time, which I'm gonna have a really hard time this week doing it for WrestleMania week, I'm definitely gonna check out Wildcat Entertainment and see what it's all about. And who knows? Maybe I'll subscribe to their
streaming
service. There you go.
An hour later at 7 o'clock on that Thursday, you have Wrestlemania, and that's at Republic NOLA, and it's a podcast, and it looks like Mark Henry's going to appear there for at least a meet and greet.
That's a Hall of Famer now.
Yeah, Hall of Famer Mark Henry. Congratulations, Mark Henry, on Hall of Fame entrance.
Okay, can we do a late game here? I got a new entrance. Mark Henry, Hall of Famer bullshit.
Really? Oh, man.
This is a continuation of our game we played.
Yeah, this was last week. So episode 6. If you haven't heard episode 6, aka the Hall of Shame, we invite you to go play Hall of Famer bullshit with us. It was pretty entertaining. Yeah, bullshit, really?
I'm asking you.
Oh, you're asking me?
You, yeah, I'm the host here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark Henry, no, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Fundamentally, he gets wrestling. He does, he does the job.
Yeah.
And, he might not be the most popular wrestler, and he might get a lot of shit from a lot of people for, contract issues in previous years and things of that nature.
Right.
But Hall of Famer. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Mark Henry. If we did ballads, they did ballads in WWE. If this was like a legit Hall of Fame, Mark Henry would. I think for me, I would vote for him on the first ballot.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, just that well-rounded guy. Contract disputes aside, that's not my problem to deal with. I base it off of what I see in that ring. So
exactly.
Yeah, Mark Henry definitely. If you had a chance to meet him for this show or at Access, I would do it because from my understanding, I know quite a few people that have met him. He's a really down-to-earth dude.
Send us some pics.
Yeah, please.
We're available on Facebook at facebook.com/20x20crew. You can catch us on Twitter at 20x20crew and on Instagram at 20x20crew. Later on that night at 8 o'clock, you have Evolve 102, and that's again at the Pontchartrain Convention Center. What is there to say about Evolve? Great promotion. If you haven't caught an Evolve show, we highly suggest you do. This is show number 102 for them. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The main event here, or what should be the main event, is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Matt Riddle for the Evolve title. That definitely caught my eye right away.
Oh, yeah.
Love me some Zack Sabre Jr. and Matt Riddle, throwing him in there in the mix for a title shot. So I'm excited.
Didn't I say we were going to say Matt Riddle's name again on the show? I mean, this guy right here, Matt Riddle, he's becoming one of the biggest names in independent wrestling at a very quick rate. And then Zack Sabre Jr. is one of the biggest names in all professional wrestling. I don't know about making a prediction right now. I don't know how much longer Zack Sabre Jr. is going to hold on to the Evolve title. He's been a champ for about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
So it's I can see it at any point now it ending. But you know what? These two guys are going to put on a hell of a show. I didn't think they were going to do it at first because they hinted towards it at Evolve 100, and that was kind of it. They didn't say anything about it at Evolve 101, and then when they made the announcement, I was like, yes, please. Like, this match right here. For me, if I had to put a ranking system, it's easily a top 5 match for me throughout the entire week.
Oh, definitely. Also on that card, you have other wrestlers like Will Ospreay, Austin Theory, Keith Lee, who you might have seen in PWG, Tracy Williams, and James Drake. There's plenty of other matches. All that information is going to be, again, on our website at 20x20crew.com/podcast/Wrestlemania. And we'll let you know if you can't make it to the show. We'll try to get a streaming information for you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't seen Evolve at all, this is right here. This is, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of 2002 to 2004 Ring of Honor. There's a lot of proving ground here. It's much smaller arenas. Not that Ring of Honor does huge arenas, but definitely bigger than Evolve does. It's a lot of hungry talent. Whether they're new to the business or trying to establish themselves even more, it's a lot of hungry talent, and what that equates to is very entertaining wrestling.
Yes.
So, if you are looking for something new to watch, not just for this week, but for the long run, Evolve is one of those things that I would highly recommend you checking out.
If you can't make it to that Evolve show later on that night, Thursday, April 5th, 9:30, you're gonna have a hell of a time picking between these two, at least for me.
Yeah.
You got two events going on. The first one is at the Joy Theater, and that's on Canal Street. You're gonna get to go experience Paul Heyman. An Evening with Paul Heyman is the name of the show. Starts at 9:30 Central Standard Time.
I would love to be there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I would... there's a lot of people who don't like Paul Heyman, and I can understand why. But to sit there and say that you wouldn't be interested in going to see that show, you'd probably be lying to yourself, even if you didn't know any better. Because let's face it, he's charismatic. He's a hell of an interesting individual. There's always something going on with Paul Heyman, and he is very opinionated, obviously, and he's been around the business much more than most people know. Mm-hmm. I would love to be there in a heartbeat. Too bad they don't have that being streamed somewhere. I would be all over that like white on rice.
Something that you and I can look into.
Yeah, for sure.
And if trust me, we'll put it on the website for sure if it is. But yeah, Paul Heyman's one of those guys. I know I've quoted myself. I'm quoting myself and saying this, that if there's anybody, if I got to pick one brain in professional wrestling, it'd be Paul Heyman, because it's amazing what he was able to accomplish throughout his entire career, whether you like him or not. And yeah, admittedly, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. Put that on a T-shirt.
Sorry, I think that's already out there.
Yeah, but I would have to ask him though, be perfectly honest, is what's up with this whole Brock Lesnar thing? Like, what? And I don't want to get into it per se, but I want to know it from him. Like, what did you really see in Brock Lesnar? Yeah. And why do you think it's okay to spin on the business as much as he does? I'd be interested, and I would implore him to please give me the best answer you can, no bullshit. But other than that, Paul Heyman is a guy that I've always admired him as far as his wrestling mind. He's a guy that gets it.
Yeah,
sure.
He does. Also at 9:30 that night, the same time Paul Heyman is having his show, is the WrestleCon Super Show over at the Sugar Mill. And this this is quite the card, even though there's only a few matches announced. You have Joey Janela versus Penta El Zero M, who's also been booked for the All In show in Chicago. Jeff Cobb versus Tomohiro Ishii. Chuck Taylor, Chucky T, the Southern Gentleman, against someone to be announced later. But the main...
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Chuck Taylor and a mystery partner, I should say, excuse me, against the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. Wow.
Let me see let me test your knowledge here.
Oh boy.
Golden Lovers, have they ever competed in the States together?
To my knowledge, no.
So that could be that's a huge show.
That would be a huge show. I'm gonna say obviously other than
I'm sorry.
Other than Strong Style Evolved here that's happening tonight, which is March 25th as we record this.
Yeah. We were staying corrected then.
Yeah, one of the few US appearances for the Golden Lovers. That doesn't lessen the show and
without a doubt.
But yeah, hell of a show. WrestleCon, if you're not familiar with, is a huge wrestling convention put on every year. Shouts out to the guys over at WrestleCon. But yeah, that's going to be a hell of a little card going on over there.
Oh yeah.
And again, that's at the Sugar Mill at 9:30.
So if you were in New Orleans, where are you going to be at 9:30? I'm putting you on the spot.
You know what?
I'm a mean host, I know.
Yeah. If I had to pick between the two, I hate to say this, I would probably go the way of Paul Heyman.
Okay.
Only because I'm sure I'll have another opportunity to see the Golden Lovers somewhere else.
Yeah.
Down the line.
That's fair.
And I can't necessarily say that about Paul Heyman.
That's a fair point.
After those two shows, at 11:55 at night, there's one more thing to do on Thursday, April 5th.
I just got to point out we're still on night one.
Yeah, this is night one. This is the end of night one, guys. At 11:55 at night, Beyond Wrestling will be at the Pontchartrain Convention Center, and it's mixed tag wrestling or mixed wrestling.
It's mixed wrestling, yeah, all together, men versus women.
Men versus women.
What's that name? Here's his name again, Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle is also on this card. He's a busy motherfucker this week.
Yeah,
man. He'll be facing Deonna Purrazzo. That's one of the few standout matches. You also have Timothy Thatcher versus Tony Storm.
That match just blows my mind.
Yeah,
they're doing that.
Shouts out to Tony Storm. I'm a huge Tony Storm fan.
Yeah, as you should be. I mean, she's definitely taken over women's wrestling in a way that doesn't get talked about the way that it should. You definitely, if you haven't done so, check her out on the Mae Young Classic because she will blow your mind. That and she frequents Progress Wrestling a lot too. This match against Timothy Thatcher, it's such a weird concept because you have Timothy Thatcher, who is known for his technical wrestling, as so is Tony Storm. But Timothy Thatcher is also known for being somewhat of a powerhouse.
Yes.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird, but I'm really intrigued by all of this. All these matches, even the ones that I'm not too familiar with the names on. This is one of those things where I'm definitely going to check out what Beyond Wrestling is about because it's a really interesting card.
You've got Joey Ryan and Laura James against the Rumblebees, MJF versus Tessa Blanchard. That's not even half the card, folks. So if you're out there in New Orleans and you can get to the show, 11:55 at the Pontchartrain Convention Center, you'll get to see Beyond Wrestling, and that rounds out night one of WrestleMania weekend. What a hell of a night one.
Yeah, we still got more to go.
More to go. We're going to take a small break and pay some bills, and we'll be right back with night two.
This edition of the 20x20 Ring Crew has been brought to you by Amazon. Get your Amazon Prime subscription today. You get unlimited music, unlimited ebooks, unlimited movies and TV shows available through their Amazon Prime subscription, as well as free 2-day shipping on many products through Amazon.com, as well as in certain areas, 1-day shipping. So if you're an impatient person like me, you can get 1-day shipping. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, don't forget the unlimited photo storage, too. I think that's pretty...
oh, absolutely.
I don't have anything on my photo storage as of yet, at least nothing I could share with the public, but...
Ooh.
It's photos of me and Kenny Omega. Are you jealous?
I don't even want to talk about it. Tell them where to go. That's all I got to say.
You can find more information on Amazon Prime subscriptions through us, and by doing so, you'll help us here at the show. You don't have to pay anything extra. You sign up for Amazon Prime through us. You get 30 days to try out Amazon Prime. You can cancel anytime. We still get the love from Amazon. Go ahead and check us out at 20x20crew.com/podcast/Amazon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the 20x20 Crew, 20x20 Crew Wrestling Podcast. I'm Joe. I'm here with Matt, and we are talking WrestleMania weekend 2018. Hell of a weekend. We just finished night 1 before the break, and we're about to talk about night 2. Man, looking at this whole weekend, I guess it's a little breathtaking for me. There's just a hell of a lot of things going on, and you could tell the wrestling business, the wrestling industry is back in a boom because, man, there's a lot of talent in New Orleans that weekend.
Yeah, you don't put on show if you don't think anyone's going to watch, and obviously they feel confident enough in the product to do something like this and say, hey, because WrestleMania is there and there's so much fan base, such a large amount of fan base that's going to be in a specific area for that time frame. Why not do it? Because as we get further and further, it's not just companies here in the United States. It's an international thing now.
It is an international thing.
That's great for the business.
It is very great for the business.
That's why I love talking about this.
We're going to start off Friday, April 6th. This is day 2 of the weekend. 9:30 in the morning at the Royal St. Charles Hotel. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez are bringing to you Wrestling Observer Live Mailbag, 9:30 in the morning. I am not a fan of Dave Meltzer.
I didn't know that.
And quit your lying. And in turn, Brian Alvarez, because, he's Dave Meltzer's buddy there over at Wrestling Observer. To me, folks, the Wrestling Observer... and any dirt sheet, it's kind of like it has become a necessary evil. And the only reason I say that is because while they are not anywhere near 100% correct with all the speculation and rumors that they spread, they do serve as like a loose, historical timeline of what's going on in the business as it happens. That's probably the only good thing that comes out of this, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So again, to me, it's a necessary evil. Clearly, there are people that are very invested in this. Otherwise, Dave Meltzer would not even be around anymore. He's been in the rumor business for 20, 30 years now, and he's probably. I'm gonna tell you a term here. I don't agree with it, but he is referred to as one of the more well-known wrestling journalists. I'm going to use that term loosely because I don't necessarily agree with that, but yeah. So you have him and
more
his
of a gossip columnist.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I don't know about a wrestling journalist. But,
journalism, you report facts.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so you have his live show with Brian Alvarez at the Royal St. Charles Hotel at 9:30 in the morning.
I take it you're not going to be there.
I won't be there. Thank God. Last time I looked for ticket information on this, it was sold out.
Dave Meltzer?
Yeah. They had standing room only tickets available for roughly $27.
Okay.
If any of you go to this and would love to, send some information our way, email us over at 20x20crew@gmail.com. I would love to hear what the hell went on, if anybody gave them the business during the live Q&A session. Other than that, yeah, fuck Dave Meltzer. But yeah, we'll provide ticket information. Not that there will be any left, but we will provide any last minute ticket information for you again on our website at 20x20crew.com/podcast/WrestleMania. Moving on, half an hour later, 10 o'clock in the morning, again Friday, April 6th. This time you're going to be at the Laketown Room at the Hilton Garden Inn in Kenner, Louisiana, which is not far from New Orleans. The Slobber Knocker Sessions with Jim Ross. It looks like this one has a very limited entrance. It looks like 100 fans. Tickets were $85. They include a Q&A session, and a signed copy of his new autobiography, Slobber Knocker. If there's tickets available, again, we will have that information on our website. This is what I would be doing. Instead. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I probably would be waiting outside in line for hours upon end just to be there. I'd be so excited to be there. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Jim Ross per se, but again, he's one of those individuals that has been around the business for so damn long.
Yeah.
He is a wealth of information and experience, and I hear he puts on one hell of a live show. It's always different. He always has interesting things to say and talk about. That would be where my money would be spent.
You know what's interesting about Jim Ross for me? You and I are both married. We're both married guys, and happily married at that. And I don't even want to think about what it would be like if to hear the news that my wife is gone. And when Jim Ross, his wife, passed away in that accident, it was like, well, you just thought Jim Ross was going to be gone for a long time. You know, he's going to heal. He's got to heal. And he continued to do wrestling.
I don't think he even took a full week off.
He didn't. No, I think he went straight to it. I think it was, I don't know if it was the New Japan show or if it was a WWE show, but I just remember it was like, why is he there?
It was like less than 72 hours later, and he showed up. I want to say it was the WWE show, and they had him come in and guest announce, and I was like, oh my god. But I obviously, again, I'm happily married, love my wife.
Yeah.
The thought of losing her would devastate me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can't sit there and say that I would do the same thing or that I wouldn't do the same thing, only because this is the other part of his life. It's all wrestling.
Well, that was the point I was going to make. Is like he's such an intriguing person because even with such great loss and sorrow, he picks himself up and he does the other thing that probably easily his second love. Behind his wife, it would be professional wrestling. And even though I've poked fun of him in some of his commentary these days, he's always stood the test of time for me as one of my favorite commentators. That's my personal opinion on him. But for him to do that and now do these shows, and I remember, I don't know where it was at, but I know Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman doesn't do, even though we talked about the show on Thursday, Paul Heyman doesn't do a whole lot of live shows. Doesn't do a whole lot of these type of shows. That's the reason why, as you said, it's such a big deal. And he came out for Jim Ross because, if you don't know, they have such a great relationship off camera, kind of a mentor, father-son almost relationship in the business. And even Paul was just absolutely amazed that he's still doing these shows so quickly after the loss of his wife. And it was such an intriguing it was about a 5-minute clip. You can check that out on YouTube. I would just look up Paul Heyman Jim Ross show, and yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool for him to do that, and I'm just glad that Jim Ross was able to find peace in these, not even a year after losing his wife. And I was just amazed, absolutely amazed at, like, wow, he didn't miss a beat. He didn't miss a show.
And obviously, he went through a hard time. That's a given. When something like that happens, you go through that hard time. But yeah, man, I have the utmost respect for JR. We do poke fun of him sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's done out of love, and I respect the hell out of the guy. I can only speak through personal experience, and I've lost a lot of loved ones over the years in my short 39 years on this earth, and it is not fun. First and foremost, there was one time, I won't mention any names, but I almost lost someone. I almost lost someone in this particular situation. I found myself in the same shoes as JR, where I did go to work. I didn't skip a beat, and a lot of people criticized me for doing such because of the situation. But that was where everyone else that I knew and loved at the time was, and it was healthier for me to be there than be alone with my own thoughts. So
that's very true.
Yeah, I kind of get it. I hear he puts on a hell of a live show. And again, that's where my money would be. I'd be right there at 10 a.m., bright and early like the sunshine. Yeah,
it's unfortunate that it's only a limited room, 100 fans. So I imagine for sure that they're definitely sold out at this point. But if you get a chance to be here, please let us know.
Yeah, send us pics.
Whatever you can.
Whatever you feel comfortable doing. We would definitely love to hear from you guys. Later on right at noon actually, you get to see Progress over at the Pontchartrain Convention Center once again. Will Ospreay, Matt Riddle is back at it again.
Who's that guy? You talking about him yet?
Tony Storm, Jimmy Havoc, Austin Theory, the Grizzled Young Vets, Flash Morgan Webster, many more names on this card. The Progress show happens at noon, again, Central Standard Time, over at the Pontchartrain Convention Center. What would you like to say about Progress Wrestling?
Well, I mean, first of all, this is the international field that I was talking about. Progress Wrestling is based in England or the UK, and again, they're taking advantage of WrestleMania weekend. And Progress Wrestling, man, I tell you what, it's some of the best wrestling that I've seen in quite some time. This is where Tony Storm, who you and I are such a huge fan of for many reasons, this is where she originated from. Is Progress. And a little fact, just in case for you WWE fans out here, the United Kingdom Championship has been defended more times on Progress Wrestling than it has in any WWE show.
I think that speaks volumes about the show, about the organization itself.
That's where they got a lot of their talent from.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Progress Wrestling, please get familiar really quick.
If you're a fan of Trent Seven, if you're a fan of Tyler Bates, if you're not a fan of the Bruiserweight, I don't know what to say to you. If you're not a fan of any of those guys, I think if you are a fan of those guys, I should say, you are definitely going to love what Progress Wrestling brings to the table. It is excellent, excellent wrestling. I absolutely love it. I absolutely recommend it. If you are there in New Orleans and you don't have a ticket yet, try to get a ticket. We'll have all the information on the website. And I do know for a fact that Progress does have their own streaming service, so this will be streamed. All that information will be on the website. Again, 20x20crew.com/podcast/WrestleMania.
And with that, also at noon over at the Sugar Mill, there's a show being referred to as The Crash. Don't know much about this show, but you do have, it is like a cavalcade of wrestlers here.
Yeah, there's a ton of wrestlers.
It's a huge show. We're looking at, it's probably going to go the better part of 3, maybe 4 hours.
Without a doubt,
by the judge of it. You've got names like Austin Aries, Penta L0M, Ray Phoenix, Rich Swann, Flip Gordon, Willie Mack, The Bandito, Joey Ryan.
Psychosis on here.
Yeah, Psychosis. I think Super Crazy is a part of that.
Brian Cage, Sammy Callahan. My goodness, yeah. I don't know anything about the Crash. I don't know if this is just if this is one of those things where it's like, hey, let's do our own show together. I tried looking them up. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, we don't know much about the show, but we will have ticket information if there's tickets still available, again, on our website. But yeah, at noon at the Sugar Mill, the Crash show will be happening. And again, quite a few matches already listed. Again, that's at noon. 4 o'clock will bring you two very important shows. The first, Evolve 103. Keep in mind, Evolve 102 happens the night before.
Yep.
Evolve 103 will happen at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time at the Pontchartrain Convention Center. Matt Riddle back at it again. This is the 5th appearance of Matt Riddle for the weekend. He's going to take on Sekimoto. You've got Chris Dickinson on this card making another appearance. Keith Lee, Austin Theory, DJ Z, Jason Kincaid. Evolve 103 happening at 4 o'clock, and they're up against Rev Pro Wrestling over at the Sugar Mill, which is also at 4 o'clock. Again, international flavor. On that card, announced is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tomohiro Ishii for the British Heavyweight title, and that's only one match on that card.
Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. is this is what I love about the minor leagues, if you will, is that Zack Sabre Jr. is a champion in different companies. He's at this point, he may or may not be the Evolve champion anymore. We'll see. But going into the week, Evolve champion, he's the Rev Pro British Heavyweight champion, and he's also one half of the Rev Pro British Tag Team Champions, where he's teaming with the boss himself, Minoru Suzuki. Both these shows, and again, Rev Pro you talked about is the international flavor. Again, they're based in the UK as well. And Rev Pro, if you are a fan of New Japan and if you're a fan of Ring of Honor, learn the name of that company, because they do regular business now with Ring of Honor and with New Japan and with CMLL down in Mexico. That's kind of the swapping, sharing talent kind of situation that makes the wrestling business so great, and they're a huge part of that. So learn the names of those guys as quickly as possible, because there's a lot of great names, a lot of names that you've already heard before. Kota Ibushi's on there. I think you mentioned Flip Gordon, Will Ospreay, Rocky Romero, Chucky T. All those guys are on there, but there's also guys that you may not know too much yet, but are really, really impressive. Shane Strickland, absolutely amazing wrestler.
Yes, sir.
David Starr, another great talent there. Aussie Open, phenomenal tag team. They do a lot of different matches in the UK, whether it be for Rev Pro or Progress or Defiance, which I'm a little bummed that Defiant didn't do anything for this week. But anyways, Evolve 103, going back to that one, another name that I want to bring out, Austin Theory. He's the Full Impact Pro World Heavyweight Champion. The reason why that's relevant is because Evolve does... they're part of a bigger network called the World Wrestling Network. It's Evolve, it's FIP, Full Impact Pro, it's American Combat Wrestling, it's also Shine, which is an all-female company. Austin Theory, I think he's on the forefront of being the next big NXT signee. So definitely, if that's something that you're interested in and where they came from, check out Evolve, because he's a big part of that right now. Jason Kincaid is another one of those guys. Yeah, this is so many great names on here. Chris Dickinson, Jaka, they're part of a great tag team, a great faction right now, and they'll be taking on a couple different opponents throughout that weekend. So throughout that week, so it's a lot of stuff to take in. I know, but trust me when we say it's totally worth it. If you are a fan of wrestling, it's totally worth it. So as far as where I would be for this 4 o'clock, because I'm going to one of these shows. Me personally, I'm going to Rev Pro because they are based out of UK, and this may be the only chance I get to see them throughout the year.
Very true. My money would be spent the same way. I'd be right there at the Rev Pro show at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time.
And that's
over
nothing
at the
against
Sugar
Evolve.
Mill. No, nothing against Evolve. Evolve's a great promotion. 5 o'clock brings you the next day of WWE Access. Again, a plethora of things to do there.
Yep.
Memorabilia, merchandise, meet and greets, signings, the whole nine. On this day, Friday, April 6th at 5 o'clock, they will have premium VIP signings for the one and only Shinsuke Nakamura.
Nice.
And VIP signings for Andrade Cien Almas, Zelina Vega, and Ember Moon, which are all NXT members. If you're a WWE fan, man, that's a hell of a little signing to be at. I would love to be there for that too.
Yeah, that would be great. I would be a little bit bummed that I'm missing those signees, but I still pick Rev Pro personally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, if you got a chance to meet Shinsuke Nakamura, if you got a chance to meet any of them, all 4 of them, it'd be great. Yeah, definitely worth checking out.
8 o'clock that night, again Friday, April 6th, you have the WWE Hall of Fame ceremonies taking place at the Smoothie King Center. If you're not familiar on how we feel about the WWE Hall of Fame, you can check out episode 6 of our podcast, aka the Hall of Shame. But really quick, I'm going to run down what is announced so far for that night. And again, the inductees are Bill Goldberg, the Dudley Boys, Ivory, Jeff Jarrett, Hillbilly Jim, Mark Henry, and Kid Rock. And then the Warrior Award going to Jarius Robertson. So again, if you've got tickets and you're going to this, wish you would have spent your money somewhere else. But hey, enjoy yourself. I mean, overall, I know we're both going to have our favorites and our likes and dislikes about this whole weekend, but ultimately we're just glad to see that you guys are going out and spending money on pro wrestling, because we love pro wrestling.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day. That really is what it's all about. I know you talked about going to WrestleManias.
Yes.
3 WrestleManias. Did you go to Hall of Fames?
The only one I went to was one that I felt was super important enough to be there, and that was the one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I had a hell of a time. Me and my brother Joe went. It was a good time. It was awesome to see Austin inducted. Had I known at the time about all the other stuff going around town, I probably would have possibly been somewhere else, depending on like international talent and stuff like that. But I'm glad to sit here and say that I got to see Stone Cold Steve Austin lost and inducted into their Hall of Fame. Later on then, actually, I take that back. Also at 8 o'clock, this is going to happen at the Pontchartrain Convention Center. Again, the WWN Super Show Mercury Rising. That'll be happening at 8 o'clock as well. So if you can't get tickets to the Hall of Fame, maybe check out the WWN Super Show.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about previously about the WWN, the World Wrestling Network. It is the governing body of 4 major factions, if my count is correct.
Yes.
Every year they do a super show. They don't do regular WWN shows. This is the really just a once a year thing called Mercury Rising, and it culminates a lot of the top performers in WWN that do regular business for WWN. Looks like only one championship is to be defended, as Lufisto defends the Shine Championship against Holly Dead, which is a really intriguing character if you've never seen her compete before.
After you and I talked a little bit about her previously off the podcast, I definitely went and checked her out, and I am definitely intrigued. I would love to be there for this match. Yeah, that looks to be the only championship being defended.
But here's his name that we haven't mentioned yet. Matt Riddle is
appearance number 6 for the weekend.
Yeah, and it's only Friday.
It's only Friday.
It's only Friday. Matt Riddle is going one-on-one against Will Ospreay.
Wow.
What do you think about that one?
Man, again, money well spent. If you got tickets to this show, congratulations. You're going to have a hell of a fucking time.
That right there, for me, it could potentially be a top 5 match for me. Definitely a top 10. Another one, too, that pops out, Timothy Thatcher and Walter. It's spelled Walter, but he pronounces Walter as like a V in there. I don't know. Yeah, he's German, so that's all I know. Against Chris Dickinson and Jaka. 2 great wrestling tag teams here.
Yes.
Chris Dickinson and Jaka, part of the faction Catchpoint, which is a kind of like the varsity club almost. From old school WCW.
But way fucking better.
Way better, yeah. Way better. And then you got your international, they're being built as dream matches. Keith Lee against Daisuke Sakamoto and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Munenori
Suwa.
Suwa, okay. Not too familiar with either one of those guys. With the exception, I'm counting the Japanese guys there. Keith Lee is a huge part of the WWN. He's currently the WWN champion and PWG champion. Defeating
Chucky T.
Defeated Chucky T at the most recent show. Zack Sabre Jr. Is a champion in multiple different companies too. Again, Evolve and Rev Pro. Of course, he may not be from that show, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out for him.
He was a champion in so many places. This is a little fact here about Zack Sabre Jr. Is how active he is. He was also the Defiant Internet champion. He had to relinquish that title because he couldn't fulfill the dates. He was too booked.
That's crazy. That's crazy to hear.
That's how busy this man is.
I think probably the only other person that might have had that disposition once in their career was Ultimo Dragon when he held the 9 titles all at once. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, you have your WWE Hall of Fame at the Smoothie King Center and the WWN Super Show Mercury Rising at the Pontchartrain Convention Center, both happening at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time on Friday, April 6th. Moving on, you've got 2 more events for night 2 of WrestleMania weekend. 9 o'clock, this is a big one. Over at the Sugar Mill, you have Impact Wrestling against Lucha Underground, a super show of sorts. Say that 5 times fast. This is big news for Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
It looks like they're finally getting their shit together. Shouts out to Scott D'Amore and Cyrus, taking the helm of this company, seeing it through to better days. I'm excited. I love what they've been doing since they took over. On this card is Allie versus Taya Valkyrie for the Knockouts title. You've got LAX versus Killshot and the Mac for the Impact Tag titles. You've got Austin Aries and Phoenix versus Alberto El Patron and Pentagon Dark. You've got Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards in an I Quit match. If you're not familiar with what the hell is going on there, oh my God. You've got to go back and watch that footage of Sami Callihan taking a baseball bat to Eddie Edwards' head. It obviously went wrong. They have since worked it into... it was a shoot that got worked into a work, if you understand my verbiage.
Yeah.
And they're having a great time with it, and definitely making it interesting and something to watch.
What I love about this show is that, again, we talked about what New Japan, Rev Pro, CMLL, and Ring of Honor are doing. We talked about the WWN, and now here we are talking about Impact Wrestling. And Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground. Why is this a thing? Well, because you have two companies that are doing business together. Impact Wrestling does business with AAA down in Mexico, as well as Pro Wrestling Noah and other companies, but that's not relevant to this show right now. But Impact Wrestling does business with the owners of Lucha Underground, which, by the way, season 4 is happening. I know Taya Valkyrie in Impact Wrestling was seen in a shoot promoting it, so that's all I know so far. But anyways, you have two wrestling organizations that are doing basically a super show together, and you have titles on the line and all this other stuff, and it's a great way, again, to incorporate a lot of different talents, and I love it. When I first heard Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground, I just was like, yes, this is awesome, because you have guys that you've already seen on Impact Wrestling, like Taya Valkyrie, as I mentioned. And you have other guys that you haven't, like Pentagon Dark, like Killshot, like the Mac. You know, there's a lot of great talent here, and this is one of those events, and it's been a long time for me, when I could say that an Impact Wrestling show is on the top of my to-watch list.
Yeah, like I said, they're doing good things now. If you guys have previously watched Impact Wrestling and haven't watched it in a while, please get that bad taste out of your mouth. It's under new management.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Give it a shot. You're missing some good wrestling. That happens at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, again at the Sugar Mill. Again, we will have ticket information and possible streaming information.
It's going to be on Twitch.
So it'll be on Twitch. We'll have all that information for you through our website over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/WrestleMania. The final event for night 2 of WrestleMania weekend will happen at 11:55 at night, and it's Joey Janela's Spring Break number 2 over at the Pontchartrain Convention Center. I don't know much about this little indie show, but
it's Joey Janela, though. What do you?
It's Joey Janela. If you're not familiar,
doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, go grab yourself some PWG highlights to start you off with a taste of Joey Janela. He's definitely someone to watch. He's very entertaining. He's going to be fighting the great Sasuke that night, so I'm interested in that match alone. But also on the card, Mike Quackenbush, who is a name I haven't heard in quite some time, but also excellent in-ring worker. He's taking on David Starr. You've got...
Well, this next one, though, Volta versus... I don't know how to pronounce
Pierre Carl Ouellet.
There you go. French.
Yes. You've got Penta L0M versus Nick Gage. Whatever Clusterfuck 2 is going to be. And then
no, this is the main event right here.
And then for fucking appearance number 7 of the weekend.
You been keeping track at home?
Yes. Matt Riddle versus James Ellsworth.
That's the biggest match yet. Hopefully
it'll be for the Intergender Heavyweight Championship. Because let me tell you, after 7 appearances in a fucking weekend, I would love to see Matt Riddle walk away with that championship.
Yeah. Well, we talk about, you got the great Sasuke, you got Mike Quackenbush, and then you got Carl, was it Ouellet?
Yeah, okay. Pierre Carl Ouellet.
And I haven't heard that name in quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So it's just like, wow, you just grabbed a lot of guys who were just like, what have you been doing all this time? It's like, hey, I want to do a wrestling show. You want to come do it? Yeah, all right, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, it's a really, really weird show, but I really hope that this is on some kind of streaming service, because I want to see it. I haven't seen the great Sasuke, and man, I don't know how long.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me personally.
And then I want to be able to say, yeah, I watch all of Matt Riddle's matches. So as much as I don't care about James Ellsworth or his intergender championship, he can shove it. I do want to see that just so I can say, hey, I watched all your matches. Maybe I'll meet him one day and I'll say, hey, I saw all 7 of those. Maybe there's more. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We're only at the end of night 2 here. Wrapping up night 2. We're going to take another break here. And we'll be right back with night number 3.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You think you can tell us what to do?
I can't tell you what to do.
You think you can tell us what to wear?
I can't tell you what to wear.
You think that you're better?
Hell no, I'm not better.
Well, you better get ready.
But I am smarter.
Bow to the masters.
I'll bow to the masters over at Ray's. Ray's will hook you up with all kinds of discounted gift cards for your favorite places to eat, for your favorite places to shop online and in store. They have any place you could possibly think of, and they even have discounts on ride-sharing services like Lyft and Uber in case you guys need to make it to a show. So hop on over and support the show. Support your 20x20 crew. Visit us for more information on Raise and discounted gift cards over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/raise. That's RAISE. 20x20crew.com/podcast/raise. And we got 2 words for you. Save money!